what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 1993 Dodge Shadow ES convertible. Up front is a 3.0 liter V6 and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this Dodge Shadow ES convertible for two reasons. First of all, earlier this year I drove a 1991 convertible with the 2.5 liter and 5-speed manual. So this has the exact opposite drivetrain of that vehicle, and I'm excited to share and figure out the differences with you here today. But the second reason is that you just don't see these on the road at all anymore. When was the last time you actually saw a Dodge Shadow? I can almost guarantee you it's been a little while, so I'm excited to share this one with you today. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 3-liter Mitsubishi V6 under the hood. I know it says Chrysler on it, but this is actually a Mitsubishi engine from the Diamond Star Motor days of Chrysler, and this was pretty much the top option. Now, there were 4-cylinder turbos offered in the earlier years of the Shadow. There was also, like I said, that 2.5 and 2.2 liter, but this was the only V6 that they offered, and I've always liked these motors. I've driven several cars with them, and I've always found pleasure in their experiences. Like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed automatic, and this car is on at least its third transmission. The transmission that was recently pulled out of this car was a remanufactured, rebuilt unit. So that means at bare minimum, it's been through 3 transmissions, in all honesty, probably more. Chrysler transmissions of this era are terrible. They are very, very unreliable. They were very cheaply built, and so anything from this era is probably on at least its second or third transmission if you're planning on buying one here in 2024. I have driven the manual, as I stated earlier, and that is 100% the way to go if you are searching for a Dodge Shadow. Last but not least about the drivetrain, of course, the Dodge Shadow is front-wheel drive. So how does it feel to drive the Dodge Shadow in automatic with the 3-liter? Well, you do notice that torque around town with the 3-liter right off the bat. It is so much friendlier to drive at slow speeds than the 2.5 liter that I drove. So that is a huge benefit. The transmission is incredibly clunky, and honestly, I could see a fourth in this car's future. Visibility is good. It has pretty thin A-pillars, a holdover from 1980s styling, and overall, it's not a bad experience. It's a decent little cruiser car, and you have to remember that this was the entry-level Dodge for the several years that it was available from 1987 till 1994. But with that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 5 gauges. Off to the left is my battery voltage. Then we have the speedometer, fuel, and tachometer. And off to the right, we have our coolant temperature. On the steering wheel, I actually do have cruise control options down at the bottom. Very interesting to see that on the steering wheel. Very typical of the 90s to put it down in the center like that, where we more traditionally find it up by the thumb grips here today. Off to the left, we do have a climate control vent and headlight switch. And moving on to the door, we have our latch to get in and out and speaker, along with the Chrysler logo and this nice fabric material. It just seems so warm and cozy. It makes me want to curl up and watch some cartoons from 1993. Moving into the center, we have 2 climate control vents and a little cubby shelf. And we have our fog lights on and off switch here. Interesting placement for that. And we have our climate controls down below. This is outfitted with factory AC that still works, which I am pleasantly enjoying on this warm Midwestern day. And of course, heat, fan speed to the left, temperature, where to send it, all those goodies. Then we do have an aftermarket radio, which I normally don't speak on, but this is very period correct. And this is a DIN and a half sized radio. Very, very interesting to see that. Down below, we do have our ashtray and cigarette lighter. And we technically do have a slide out cup holder. So we'll do a big friggin' bottle test. It fails, obviously, but it does have one nevertheless. And moving up to the shifter, we do have the automatic shifter, and it's fine. It's very, very 80s/90s, and I love all of that about this car. This car is itself very 80s and 90s. Kind of reminds me of like a Top Gun, almost like an F-body Camaro style shifter, if you will, for the automatic, so cool to see that. And down below, we do have our power window switches found here in the center. Center console doesn't have anything interesting in it besides the rear view mirror that should be on the window, but it's not. And then we gotta talk about the seats. I love this fabric on the seats. I love how comfortable and how cozy these seats are. I just love it so much. So nostalgic for me. I mean, it's like a warm hug, and I really, truly love seeing that. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so to get in the back of the Dodge Shadow convertible, a little bit of gymnastics required. Oh. All right, we're back here. It's not good. The actual seat material, fabric, and cushion feels really nice, to be expected from what we saw up front. And overall, like, the seats themselves are not bad, but I don't have a whole lot of space, and getting in and out, especially with the top on, is a big, big pain. Would I recommend these back seats? No, but you know, that's life. Let's talk about the trunk. Right around the back of the Dodge Shadow. I just dropped the key, God. Around the back of the Shadow ES convertible, holding the key firmly this time. Turn the key like that. Pull it up, and here is the trunk. Now, a lot of the trunk space is taken up by that convertible top, to be expected. However, you still get a decent trunk, even though the convertible top is there. So, honestly, it's not a lose-lose. It's a win-lose, settle the debate later, I guess. I don't really know the terminology, but it's not bad. It's not a bad trunk for the Shadow ES. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is finished in a really nice green. I think it contrasts the tan interior really, really well. One of my favorite color combos is either midnight blue or like a forest green with a tan interior on cars, and I love that look here. I don't think it's anything too crazy, too special looks-wise. I do think the front end is a little bit bland, but that's okay. I do want to direct your attention to one thing on the hood, this bulge. Fans of the channel will know how much I love talking about bulges. It does nothing. There's nothing under the hood that requires a bulge this size. Now, there is a cutout under the hood for the V6's plenum, but it doesn't need to be nearly this big, and it wouldn't even show on the outside had Dodge not given it just this random hood bump. So, fun little fact for you there. Why does it have a hood bulge? Your guess is as good as mine. Something also interesting about the convertible top is that these cars were actually built as coupes and then sent to then get their tops chopped off and sent to Dodge dealers. So there was a middleman that actually did the conversion, added the bracing and whatnot, which is really, really cool. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a Dodge Shadow ES convertible from 1993? Well, I've enjoyed my time here. This isn't really a canyon carver. It's not a hot adrenaline pumping car, but it's a fun little cruiser, and I think the 3-liter V6 really helps out with that. Around town is an absolute breeze, just with that extra torque and extra displacement. I think the interesting thing about this car is that it is an entry-level Dodge product, and yet in here, this doesn't feel entry level. I know this was a couple trim levels up, but the Shadow itself was the most affordable Dodge at the time. It replaced the Omni and then was later itself replaced by the Neon. And I think that Shadow to Neon jump is the most interesting part because there was never a convertible Neon offered. There was apparently a concept car. I'm not too sure about it, and they wanted to do a Neon convertible, but it never came to fruition, and so there never was one. So at the end of the day, this was the last entry-level convertible that Dodge ever did. Now, of course, we all know the Chrysler Sebring, Chrysler 200 had a convertible, that sort of thing. But Dodge, the entry-level brand with their entry-level car, never did a convertible ever again. And I think that that's an interesting distinction because it's kind of Dodge saying, yeah, we're giving up on having fun at the base level and we're just going to push numbers. We're just going to focus on how can we make this car the most affordable it could ever be and shove it down people's throats that need transportation. This car doesn't feel that way. It goes, yeah, sure, maybe you can't afford the Dodge Spirit. Maybe you can't afford a larger vehicle, but that doesn't mean that you're any less valuable to us. We still want you to have fun. We still want you to be able to put the top down. We still want to give you this obviously fake wood grain. It's clearly fake, but it's nice. It's the little things that make up the big things. And so to me, this truly feels like a departure away from Dodge being able to have fun at the bottom level. Yeah, we got the Dodge Neon SRT4 later on, but that's a different category. That was for adrenaline junkies that mainline Red Bull on weekends. You could buy this as a salesman, as a manager, as a college kid, and it didn't feel like you were scraping the bottom of the barrel. And that is a really cool spot to be in, and that was the spot that the Dodge Shadow ES used to take up. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Carl and Mark. I should not say them in that order. Mark and Carl for letting me take out this Dodge Shadow. They have been absolutely wonderful. I filmed a couple of their vehicles here today, and I've filmed plenty of Carl's cars in the past. He's always been so supportive of the channel, and I appreciate him very, very much. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.